Okay. These tracts, they are coming and they will now synapse with the lower motor neurons. Okay. Lower motor neurons are موجود in all levels of spinal cord: cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral. Do you agree with that? Okay. First of all, when I say lower motor neurons word in the spinal cord, how much do you know about the lower motor neurons? First of all, give me your knowledge. What do you know about that? You have done histology, mashallah. You tell me. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Abdullah, I am asking about lower motor neurons in the spinal cord. Name the lower motor neurons of the spinal cord. When I ask you this question, what will be your reply? Alpha motor neurons, Ryan, number one, very good. And gamma. There are two very special mashhoor neurons in the spinal cord, anterior horn cells, called alpha motor neurons, big size. Gamma motor neurons, smaller size. Alpha kabir and gamma, they're saghir. Okay. Well, these motor neurons are collectively called the lower motor neurons of the spinal cord. Now, these fibers will end on the alpha motor neurons mainly, and also have connections with the gamma motor neuron, but mainly with the alpha motor neurons. Okay? Alpha motor neurons. Alpha motor neurons. What is the function of the alpha motor neuron, Shabab? Alpha motor neuron function, please. Yes, 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 yes. You don't have a qalam in the class, otherwise I would have drawn a simple picture for you. Upper motor neurons are controlling the lower motor neurons, mainly alpha motor neurons and also the gamma motor neurons. Okay, the alpha motor neurons, which are the lower motor neurons, they are controlling the muscles, skeletal muscles of our body. Okay. So skeletal muscles now please, skeletal muscles are directly controlled by upper motor neurons, yes or no? No. Okay. Lower motor neurons are the direct controllers of the muscles, skeletal muscles, yes. Upper motor neurons, by controlling the lower motor neurons, control the function of the muscles, yes or no? Yes. Okay. So go for the direct and the indirect control. All right. So now these upper motor neuron fibers, they will end on the lower motor neurons. Okay. The most important part, control of this tract, is for upper limbs. Okay. Upper limbs. So what do you think? Shuf. These tracts, corticospinal tracts, two tracts are coming, one on the right side, one on the left side. Okay. They cross over and go to the opposite side, mainly 75%, 25% remain on the same side. Okay. So there are two corticospinal tracts, clear? From two hemispheres they are coming. One is coming from this side, other is coming from this side. Then the two tracts, they decussate, they change the position, 75%. Okay. So there are two tracts for the two sides of the spinal cord. Okay. Now, corticospinal tracts, they are the main controllers of functions, okay, voluntary movements, our fine skillful movements, okay, which we perform, the best movements which we perform, okay, with the fingers or with the hands, the perfect movements, they are controlled by corticospinal tracts. All right. Okay. What do you think? Corticospinal tracts, they are controlling the whole spinal cord. Which part of the spinal cord should they control best or maximally? Which part? Upper part. When you say upper part, what do you mean by upper part? Cervical. Cervical. Yani this tract, taqriban more than nus of this tract, 55% of the fibers, they end in the cervical region. That is a very, very important point, because cervical region is controlling your upper portion of hands. Okay. Yani this tract is mainly for the cervical region. How much baqi? 45% baqi. Okay. Out of 45%, now you have thoracic area and the lumbosacral area of the spinal cord. Out of these two areas, which area seems more important, thoracic or the lumbosacral? Think and answer. Why lumbosacral? Because You are controlling the movements of lower limb through the lumbosacral. So 25% of the tract finishes in the lumbosacral part. How much baki? 20% baki. 20% is for the control. Can you really move your thoracic muscles too much? Even if you try to dance, can you move these muscles? Or try to move your body or do exercise or anything? Can you move these muscles very much? No. You don't have a very fine control over these. You have the best control over hands. After that, you have the control over the lower limbs really, okay? So, the maximum tract is finishing in which region of the spinal cord? After that, second important region, lumbosacral. Baki only thoracic. Like this, okay? So, they are ending on the lower motor neurons. They are ending directly or indirectly on the lower motor neurons. Now, please listen to my statement and answer. I am saying the fibers are ending directly and indirectly on the lower motor neurons. What do I mean by that? Directly and indirectly on the lower. They are connected to the lower motor neurons directly and indirectly. Directly is very simple. Directly? Okay, direct going to the alpha motor neuron, synapse, khalas? Okay. What do you mean by indirectly? Yes, interneuron. Awwal, they synapse with interneuron, then interneuron will synapse with the alpha. Okay. So directly and indirectly means directly to the alpha and gamma neurons, and indirectly means awwal, interneuron, then interneuron is connected to the alpha. Clear? Okay. Control. Function, please. I am going to give you the function of the corticospinal tracts. Okay. The lateral corticospinal tracts, okay, it is mainly controlling which parts? You know, the best parts controlled, and especially the fine movements, okay. I am writing, I am holding things, I am doing a fine work, okay. The best parts are my fingers, so the maximum control is coming for my fingers. Fine skillful movements, okay, are controlled by the corticospinal tract, okay. Lateral corticospinal tract is controlling it, lateral is controlling it. Look at the anterior corticospinal tract. Anterior tract, it is coming. Anterior tract is coming and finishing in spinal cord, and it is controlling the axial muscles, please. Axial muscles. The limb muscles, the distal muscles are controlled by lateral tract, okay? But the axial muscles and some proximal muscles here of the limbs, and mainly the axial muscles. When I say axial muscles, what do I mean by that? Attached to the central part of the body here, okay? The neck muscles which are here and the muscles which are attached to the vertebral column, these muscles of the back here, they are controlled by the anterior corticospinal tract, axial muscles, okay? But your distal muscles for fine movements, for best control, they are controlled by lateral corticospinal tract. Lateral corticospinal tract. Clear? Lateral function. So which one is more important for your perfect movements, lateral or anterior? Lateral, okay? Axial means your balance or your standing or some movements will be affected, but your overall movements of the limbs, they are controlled by the lateral corticospinal tract, okay? Clear about the function? Okay. This is done. Corticonuclear tract. Corticonuclear tract. You know the meaning of corticonuclear tract? I gave you the meaning. From cortex to the cranial nerve nuclei. They are also a part of the pyramidal tract, but they finish at different levels of the cranial nerve nuclei. They will go to the cranial nerve nuclei and they will supply them. So upper motor neurons, look at this one. The tract is coming down and it is finishing in different parts of the cranial nerve. Well, actually, this diagram is not a very correct diagram. I don't agree with this diagram, okay, but I took it because it's an animation. Leaving the oculomotor, because oculomotor is maujood in the midbrain, really up, okay. For the other nuclei, yes, non-oculomotor nuclei, for the trigeminal, for the vagus, glossopharyngeal, facial, yes, this tract is controlling. Now look, nucleus of trigeminal, abducent, facial, nucleus ambiguous, hypoglossal, accessory, ये तकरीबन main cranial nerve nuclei which are मौजूद in pons and medulla, well, they are controlled by the corticonuclear tract. So when you say pyramidal tract, there are two pyramidal tracts. Tawil pyramidal tracts, which are starting from cortex to the spinal cord, corticospinal tracts. Okay. In the corticospinal tracts, you have two types, lateral and anterior. You know the functions of lateral and anterior. Corticonuclear tracts, short tracts from cortex to the nuclei in the brain stem. Different nuclei, they control the motor function of the nuclei. Nuclei contain the lower motor neurons, please. Okay. Now, we are done with the pyramidal tract. I'll give you only few words about the extrapyramidal and we are done. We are finished, because right now we are not going into the details. Are we clear about the functions of the pyramidal system tracts? Okay. Pyramidal tracts, how will you say, what are the functions of the pyramidal tracts? Movements. Okay, they are controlling the movements of the muscles. Specifically, which type of movements? Fine movements of which part of the body? When you are saying that, are you talking about the lateral tracts or the anterior tracts? Lateral tracts, okay. And the anterior tracts are also controlling the movements, but what kind of movements? Axial muscle movements, okay. Our posture, our control of the axial, okay. Hold it now. Extrapyramidal, okay. For the extrapyramidal, different tracts were maktoob. Vestibulospinal, reticulospinal, tectospinal, rubrospinal, olivospinal, there are many. This group is sending the fibers down into the spinal cord, different levels of the spinal cord, cervical region, thoracic region, like this, and controlling the spinal cord. What is the function? Control of the muscles. Shabab, three words remember. Awwal, tone of the muscles, tone, okay. Some of the tracts have excitatory influence of the tone, they increase the tone of the muscles, okay. Number one, the first word is tone. Some are inhibitory to the tone, excitatory and inhibitory to the tone, okay. I am talking about the collective functions, group functions of extrapyramidal system. I am not saying separately each group, okay. Collective function, they control the tone of the muscles, okay, and tone is lazim for the movements of the muscles, okay. Second thing, they are required for the posture, control of the posture, okay. By changing the tone and by controlling the contractions of the muscles, they are concerned with the posture, okay. This is my standing posture, this is your sitting posture, it is the lying posture. If I lie down, I change postures. Control of the posture is also mainly coming from extrapyramidal tract. So the first word is tone, second word is posture, position, yani. And the third is equilibrium or tawazun. Equilibrium or tawazun, okay. So three key words. Number one is tone, number two is posture, and third is equilibrium. These are required for our muscular movements and for locomotion. So this group is controlling basically these functions, okay. Our general movements, our generalized movements, okay, are also controlled by, see, our fine movements, remember fine movements. Who is controlling the fine movements? Lateral corticospinal tract, any pyramidal tracts, okay. Extrapyramidal tracts, okay, they are controlling the gross movements or the general movements of the body, the gross movement, okay. If you have the background of the gross movements, if my gross movements are maujood, my extrapyramidal system is working mia, it's perfect, then I can perform the fine movements very well. Yani you need both systems. Extrapyramidal system is giving you a generalized movement or the gross movements, gross, okay. And the fine movements are done on the extrapyramidal system. By which system? Pyramidal system. So extrapyramidal system is forming the background on which you are performing the fine movement.